in July
Got it.
18...
Yeah. Horses.
42.
Horses and carriages.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.
Okay.
English naturalist Dr. J. Griffin, who's an esteemed member of the British...
J for... I'm just going to try and guess.
J the letter.
J the letter. Okay.
I
so it
think
could be
it
John,
was
Jeremiah, Jacobin.
Genoquily. Genoquilatius Griffin. I only got J. I don't know why. Maybe he's just trying to be mysterious.
Okay.
So English naturalist Dr. J. Griffin, who is an esteemed member of the British Lyceum of National History.
I love lyceums.
Natural history, sorry. Isn't it Lycea?
Sorry.
Lyceus? I don't know.
Edit this one out. I've ruined it already. I got a plural wrong.
You're an idiot. No, I might have got it wrong too, because I assume everything does that, but then I was told by someone who spoke ancient Greek that sometimes it doesn't.
Isn't Lyceum Latin?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, he arrived in New York City.
Okay, good.
He brought with him.
He's a naturalist in New York City.
He's a naturalist. It's a classic start. Romance novel.
Came from London.
I didn't say London.
Right.
English.
English. Okay.
Did you know England?
Yeah.
Has another city.
Stop.
It's called Little London. Londonlet. And he brought with him something quite unexpected.
Is it the plague?
It was a mermaid, which was caught. Yeah, and it was caught near the Feejee Islands in the South Pacific.
Welcome to the Wholesome Show, the science podcast for people who sit up the back of the classroom with mermaids.
And who don't have to ask whether England is bigger than London because they know that it is.
Whatever, man. Whatever. Wholesome Show is me, Will Grant, merman.
Yes, and philanthropist. Me, Dr. Roderick Griffin. I can speak no ancient Greek. Lamberts.
Who cares? The Wholesome Show is brought to you by the Australian National Centre for the Public Awareness of Mermaids and Science and mermen and
yeah, it's true.
The mer people.
Merfolk.
Mer people.
Oh no, we can't say folk now, can we? Because the Nazis used folk. What a terrible troll that was. Not by me.
Oh, give me some more mermaid story.
Yeah, I will. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
So in the months before the mermaid arrived in New York City, letters had been sent, quote, from Southern correspondents.
Yes.
Describing the Doctor and the mermaid. So there was a lot of build up to this, a lot of stories about it.
Can I just check? You used the word "it" before. Surely mermaid. It was a lady mermaid. I mean, we've got maid here.
Not very alive.
Okay, dead.
Yeah. So it's sort of, you could argue, we talk about a corpse as it. So, when you talk about the body of a dead relative, you don't go he, as in the corpse, you say it.
Yeah, okay, all right.
But you will say his body, unless it's a hers body or a they's body. I'm woke again.
I have never really deeply thought about if you call a corpse it.
But you do. Or you say the body.
Okay, because is that something to do with like okay, their soul has the gender.
So, yeah.
Their soul has the gender.
Maybe.
And their body is not. Wow.
It's true. We definitely in at least in the Western world, we talk about the body as remote from the person.
Of course.
The moment they're dead, it becomes they died and the body is left.
Yeah, cool.
It's true. That tends to be just the way we talk.
And the gender attaches to the floaty bit.
To the they, yeah.
The floaty bit that floats off.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
All right, well.
Unless there are special embalmification methods for different trouser parts.
That keep the gender in. Like
they trap it.
They trap the gender.
Let the soul go, but not the gender. I will not have a gender ambiguous corpse.
There you go. Come to the Wholesome Show for your best linguistic analyses of stuff.
That's what we do. We don't even mean to. We're so good at it. So in the months before, these letters were coming from the Southern correspondents describing the Doctor and the mermaid. Or rather, his mermaid. He owns the mermaid. So when he checks into his hotel, reporters were waiting for him. They're demanding to see the mermaid. So apparently Dr. Griffin grudgingly obliged.
Just point of order, he kept the mermaid's body in the hotel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably had her own room.
He's
not a freak.
I don't know if I want to be in the room next door if there's a mermaid corpse.
What's that noise? Nothing.
I just could you put it somewhere else, please?
1842. What are your options?
I don't
Keep it in the local ice
a
creamery.
warehouse. Yes, exactly. The ice bunker.
We've gone from 14 flavours to 15, but one of them you probably don't want.
Oh, that's what I was going with. Not a hotel, somewhere like that.
Definitely in his hotel. So he grudgingly obliged to show the reporters, and what they saw totally convinced them of the creature's authenticity.
They were very gullible back then.
How dare you?
I'm just going to guess.
You don't know this isn't a real mermaid?
Guess that the end result is not a real mermaid, and that they were a little bit credulous.
How can you be at the end of this fine year so cynical? So there was an ad in a newspaper later on in this story that advertised the mermaid exhibition, and I love it. It's from January 1843. This grand, interesting, and very cheap exhibition at Masonic Hall. That's Trump-like. So exhibition is capitalized, just the first letter.
Grand, interesting, and very cheap.
Yeah, exhibition at Masonic Hall, embracing the most wonderful curiosity in the world, the mermaid and the ornithologicus and the orang-utang, etc., with, in all caps, fancy glass blowing by a most excellent artist.
Sure. I mean, you've seen the mermaid, you want to see some fancy glass blowing.
That's what I'm thinking of too. I'm like, I've seen afterwards. A fish human.
And something for the kids. And a Lego exhibition as well.
Yep.
So...
And it just goes on and on. There are mechanical figures, and there is ventriloquism and magic by Mr. Wyman.
They never went for minimalism.
Never.
They never said, look, this stuff is so mind-blowing, it's got to be by itself.
No. They jammed them all together with, as you can see, there's a little picture of the mermaid.
That's beautiful.
Isn't she lovely?
That's definitely a photograph of the mermaid.
She's very attractive.
Well, of course. Of course.
They all are. Top part, yes, that is the question.
If you're attracted to the whole mermaid, then that's an interesting
it's beautiful
thing.
And genuine love.
For me, I'm just going top half looks nice, but I
don't even know what the downstairs looks like, and I'm.
You mean the actual genital area
of the real?
No, who knows? Surely it is a fish type genital, and at this point, my knowledge of fish genitals is
not as sexual as some other people's.
It's very, very low. Like I have no idea how two fish make a baby fish. Do they? I know.
The lady shits the eggs and the guy piddles on them.
Yeah, that's it. I've seen that. Yeah. And I like one of those fish that smash everything. They do it, make a little gouge and stuff like that.
Salmon?
No, I think it was like a
turbot.
I
name 10 fish. John.
Yummy and.
Basted, deep fried. So P.T. Barnum shows up, good old showman P.T. Barnum. And he started visiting offices of major newspapers and trying to convince them or convince him, Dr. Griffin, to display the mermaid. So Griffin has grudgingly showed it to people. So Barnum turns up and starts going, "Come on, dude."
No, that's fake grudging. That's fake grudging.
How dare you?
He's got the show of the year.
He's an English gentleman.
Oh no, I couldn't possibly do. Oh, all right.
From the Natural History Lyceum.
No, bullshit. That's
so P.T. Barnum's there going, come on, using the papers to try and convince him. Griffin keeps saying no. He could just be he respects the body too much.
I think he's just holding out for the best deal he can get. That's all.
Trump. So Barnum volunteered to give the papers a use of a woodcut of a beautiful bare-breasted mermaid that he'd prepared because it was now useless to him. He couldn't use this to advertise because Griffin wouldn't let him do anything.
I carved her while she's nude and dead. I did a picture. You can use this. It's basically a photograph. People will love to see the photograph.
Yeah, so it's woodcut. So the papers now, he gave it to every paper. They all thought they had an exclusive. And they said, yeah, sure, we'll do it. So they showed it on Sunday the 17th. I don't know why that's important. Anyway, simultaneously, Barnum distributed 10,000 copies of a pamphlet about mermaids throughout the city.
What did it say? Is this some factual stories about mermaids?
Oh, hell yeah. Mermaids are real. Here they are. The mermaids in the pamphlet were also represented as seductive ocean maidens. So I'll just hold this up to the microphone. Seductive ocean maidens. Do you feel seduced?
Well, they've got a nice hairbrush. Or is that a mirror?
Beautiful eyes.
Yeah. Look. I don't doubt that they look better than other things in the ocean.
Yeah.
Like that blobfish. They're much better than the blobfish.
Oh, that's like a human that's been mutated through a teleporter on Star Trek gone wrong.
Taking all your bones out,
And just sit there looking like all you do is scream.
Yeah, so much better than that.
Oh, gross. So with all the publicity, the anticipation to see the Feejee Mermaid, as it was now being called, spelt Feejee.
I have seen that before.
Yeah. It became enormous. People were really psyched. They wanted to see this thing. They're like, holy shit, look at this pamphlet.
This is a long time before television, so they're keen
Quite
for
a
some
bit.
entertainment.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that.
Apparently, it was the hot topic of conversation throughout the town. And everyone was talking about whether it was a real mermaid or not, as you would expect. Speculation was high. Griffin finally agreed to exhibit it for a week at the concert hall on Broadway.
Well, I'll do it.
All right, if it's going to make me rich. Huge crowd showed up.
Still, has he been preserving it on ice during this time, or is it...
As I will reveal later, it seems fairly desiccated.
Okay, all right.
It is what you would call a dried out merlady.
Okay, so it didn't matter anymore. It was mummified, or...
You just sort of, like you go to the Asian grocer and they have the freeze-dried squids.
Yes. No, but sure.
So it's like them.
Okay.
Only not,
I
cryovac.
was thinking those dried out fish. That's...
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's desiccated. So yeah.
So you could have that in your hotel room.
Yeah,
you
you
could
could
have that on the bed next to you.
Yeah, it wasn't like moist and
it's-
freshly killed.
Yeah, it's not rotting really in a stinky way.
Look, from the images I saw of it more recently, it certainly doesn't look rotten
Does a
now.
rotting mermaid smell like rotten fish
Or rotten human? I think it's a beautiful melange.
It's like surf and turf.
Oh, isn't it though? That's true.
Literally.
Human are the beef of the land.
No, I think cows are like got that.
You're a savage. Griffin would lecture to the crowds who turned up about his experiences as an explorer and described his theories of natural history.
Just want to see the fucking mermaid, mate.
Yeah, shut up. Stop talking.
Just stop it, egghead.
Yep.
Give us the mermaid.
Yeah, I don't care about your theories.
I have a theory.
My favourite theory, his main argument was that mermaids must be real since all the things on land have a counterpart in the ocean. Seahorses, sea lions, sea dogs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we should, of course, assume they're also sea humans. Duh.
Of course.
That's just science.
Sea birds.
Yeah. Sea
cats.
cabbage. Yeah, sea cats. Sea possums. All of those things must be real. Sea dogs. Now, I always thought a sea dog was basically what you called a sailor in the olden days.
It's a seal, isn't it? Oh, like
Is
old
it?
sea dog. No, but like they
I
look
suppose
like a
they're
dog.
doggish, yeah.
They've got little nice dog
And they go,
faces.
So, and I have a dog that sounds like a seal when we're getting home. Whoa, he's right. Meanwhile, the press continued to lavish attention on the mermaid, and there were rave reviews about it. So, New York Sun, about 2 weeks after this all began, we've seen it. What? Why the mermaid? The mischief you have, as in bullshit.
Okay.
The mischief you have. What? Shut up. Speak like you. Where? What is it? It's twin sister to the deucest looking thing imaginable.
Ooh, the
I know.
juiciest looking
What the
thing.
juice? Half fish, half flesh, and taken by and large, the most odd of all oddities earth or sea has ever produced. The mischief you have. I love that. The mischief you have. Not the fuck you have.
Yeah, but
They
it's a
didn't swear in
newspaper.
the
It's a
olden days.
newspaper.
And they didn't swear in the olden days. So after the concert hall, the mermaid was moved to Barnum's American Museum, where it was exhibited for a month without charge. So you could see it for free. And it says the ticket receipts to the museum basically tripled. So I don't know if he was charging for other things.
Yeah, okay. So it's
I
not a
suspect.
special price to come in. It's not a special exhibition like you go to the art gallery and it's like $10 to go and see this one. No, okay.
Yeah. You'll be amazed to hear that things were starting to look a bit odd, though.
Yeah, really.
Are you shocked?
No. I am at this point assuming it was a real mermaid.
I know. I was too. It was devastating. So first, although the advertisements had shown the mermaid to have the body of a young and beautiful woman,
Are you going to say that was a lie? She was older. It's like
I would never
her
make such
Tinder
assertion.
profile. She turned out to be at least 55.
That's a picture of your granddaughter.
Not well looked after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's wrong with 55?
I-
Sounds young to me.
All I'm saying.
I'm not 55.
All I'm saying, it just not the young maiden that.
No, not the.
I would never describe you as a young maiden.
Why not? Why do you hate me, man? What have I done to you? How have I offended you?
I'm sorry. All right, I'll say 300-year-old looking person.
So it was more that it had the withered body of a monkey and the dried tail of a fish.
A monkey. I say so. We've gone less human. Yeah.
Nice picture, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a picture from Barnum's autobiography. I'll hold that up to the microphone too.
Again, the drawing. It's not a photograph.
No, it's not a photograph. So
And not seductive. Like
no.
Like I've lost all of the seducement going on here.
I know you were getting pretty worked up there for a moment.
I was literally ready to,
You're thinking of changing teams. You're going to go fish.
Still top half, but that top half is not a beautiful top half.
No, it really does look like a rictus monkey. As a correspondent from the Charleston Courier put it, of one illusion, the sight of the wonder has forever robbed us. We shall never again discourse, even in poesy, I don't know what that means, of mermaid beauty, nor woo a mermaid even in our dreams.
Suddenly, all our dreams
gross.
of beautiful mermaids, they're horrible.
Yeah,
But they're real, but they're horrible.
Yeah. For the Feejee lady is the very incarnation of ugliness.
Thank you.
They're talking about the mermaid, not the ladies of Fiji. And in his autobiography later, Barnum described the mermaid as an ugly, dried-up, black-looking and diminutive specimen, its arms thrown up, giving the appearance of having died in great agony.
Again, a long way from the beautiful that they were talking about.
Look, it's a bit of a step.
I mean, okay, no, I don't even want to imagine someone who draws the parallel between seductive and died in great agony.
Yeah,
like that's are there.
it'll be out there.
I know that there are necrophiles that are in. Yeah, I don't know. That'll do. I don't need to think.
No, keep going.
Stop it.
Different episode.
I don't want to do that.
We'll call the next episode "Unusual Proclivities." Don't worry, I'll do it. You don't have to do that. I'll take one for the team. Second, another strange thing. It turns out Dr. Griffin was a fraud.
No.
I know. I'm shocked, I tell you.
How was it worked out that he was a fraud?
Look, I think pretty much it wasn't hard to tell if you bothered to look. He was no Englishman.
They could find the stick. That's the big problem.
Not a pom. Not
an Englishman.
In fact, they say no English gentleman.
Oh, well, that's different.
Gracious me. Also, there's no such thing as the British Lyceum of Natural History.
Oh, you made that up?
That could be an issue.
That was just on his business card.
Yeah, we're just going to telegraph the British Lyceum and they're like, we don't know where to send it because it doesn't exist. His real name was Levi Lyman and he was Barnum's accomplice.
Oh,
Oops.
Rigged from the beginning.
Oops. The Mermaid's introduction and exhibit has been the brainchild of Barnum all along. So Barnum had set up the letters that were sent before Griffin arrived.
And so Barnum also said, and you got to come up with some lectures.
Yep.
Like you got to tell some long, boring lectures about when you're an explorer and your theories of natural
Here's
history.
your theory of why the mermaid must be real. So they sent all these letters throughout the summer before he arrived, carefully orchestrated the mermaid publicity once Griffin, a.k.a. Lyman, arrived. And this had all been done to give the mermaid a veneer of scientific respectability, which worked, at least for quite a while. Third issue, of course, the mermaid was a fake, and Barnum knew this. He knew this the whole time.
It was the sticky tape?
Yes, the 19th century blue tack and the pong, the bleeding offal between the two halves. I mean, stuff like that. He'd leased the mermaid from a Boston showman called Moses Kimball, who had in turn bought it from a seaman called Eads. I'll tell you about him in a tick.
All right.
But before doing this, Barnum had consulted a naturalist to inquire about the mermaid's authenticity. The naturalist said, this is horse shit. Mm-hmm. Barnum didn't care as long as people believed it was real.
Well, look, I get it.
Why consult?
No, he might know. Well, he's still gonna exhibit it. He just wants to know, what's the argument I got to have here to make people believe?
No, it's real. I love also he leased it.
Yeah, sure.
Can I do a lease deal
sure.
on this?
I'll have it for 2 years and then we'll go back. Yeah.
Yeah, on your dried half monkey, half fish thing in a box. Can I rent it? Does someone rent it after him? The whole industry of renting this shit, I find interesting. So the Feejee Mermaid is apparently an example of, or they believe, a traditional art form perfected by fishermen in Japan and the East Indies.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm surprised at that. That's really interesting. Yeah. I thought it was going to be someone came up with this as let's make a fake mermaid, let's kill an orangutan and sew it to a fish.
Yep, get a barramundi, eat the top half. I thought that too.
Traditional art. Okay, tell me more.
So they construct faux mermaids by stitching the bodies of apes onto the bodies of fish, and they often create them for religious ceremonies at the time.
So Japanese, you said?
Yeah, Japanese and East Indies.
Okay.
Which I think is,
Indonesia, maybe.
Indonesian.
Can be.
Part of, so the Feejee Mermaid herself, they refer to as her, believed to have been created around 1810 by Japanese fishermen. And at the time, the Dutch were the only Westerners permitted to trade with Japan.
1842. So this is 30 years later. All right.
Yeah. So the Dutch were the only people permitted to trade. So Commodore Matthew Perry, who was apparently quite famous, not just a guy in Friends.
Open up Japan.
Yep. And apparently many more fake mermaids started to appear on the scene from sort of 1853. And none of them resembled the beautiful creatures described by Hans Christian Andersen.
Oh my God, there's a glut of fake mermaids. No wonder you don't want to buy it.
Yeah.
Like you'll just lease it because there might be a better one.
A better one, exactly. This one's fresher.
Yeah.
Bigger. Larger monkey
or
breasts.
all of those things, or it's got some additional appendages.
Or imagine alive. This one was alive for 2.5 seconds, or at least half of it was. So after the Dutch acquired this particular mermaid, it went to England. But the Dutch merchant ship sank, and an American captain named Samuel Eads, the guy who Barnum leased it from, rescued the crew of the ship and the mermaid.
Of course.
Save that. Grab the gross thing. Oh, yeah, and the crew. He was fascinated by the mermaid, so Eads thought it was amazing, and he bought it from the Dutch in January 1822, and he had to sell his ship to pay the $6,000 price for it.
Oh, wow.
$6,000.
Oh, wow. Someone has sold their whole
boat
to buy this fake mermaid.
Yeah.
God, you've got to be really credulous. Like, don't you look at the bit where the tail joins the body?
Why is the body much wider than the top? Yeah, it looked different times.
I know.
And sailors, Sailors.
I know, but seriously.
Where were we? So it went to England. The Dutch ship sank, blah, blah, blah. He bought it for $6,000. Eads needed travel money, so he exhibited the mermaid in Cape Town, and it was met with quite the fanfare. People were excited in Cape Town. My God, it's off a fish, off a monkey.
Everyone's looking for excitement at the time, though.
Aren't we all, though?
Don't judge them. Don't judge them.
Oh, no, good for them. A prominent English missionary wrote in a widely circulated newspaper saying, oh, yeah, this is real, man. This shit's real. In 1822, so Eads arrives in London with the mermaid, and he sets up a display at a coffee house with the mermaid under a glass dome.
Sure.
Come and have a coffee, check out the fish creature.
That's what I often would do. I would get a coffee if there was a mermaid under
Can you imagine turning up at a coffee house going, do you mind if I just put this display here and charge people?
Yeah.
They'll drink coffee too. I reckon you could.
You'll double your coffee sales.
Yeah.
Like everyone's going to get a larger coffee if there's a mermaid there.
Yeah, they'll get a second coffee. It was a talk of the town throughout the autumn. Every day, hundreds of people paid the 1 shilling price to see the mermaid. Now, I don't know how much a shilling is, but I feel like it's not nothing.
I think it's definitely not nothing.
Yeah. Soon after arriving in London, Eads, who seems to believe the mermaid was real, invited 2 prominent naturalists to examine it. They said, no, it's fake, mate. So he went to less knowledgeable naturalists who said it was real.
I'm going to keep going until I find an expert.
I want a shittier expert. Just work down the chain.
Oh my God, that's such a Trumpian thing to do.
Isn't it? Okay, you say it's fake. Cool. Is there a dumber person here?
Yeah.
Is someone who knows less than you? Can I talk to them? So Eads was very happy at this, and eventually he claimed that one of the prominent naturalists who said it was real was Sir Everard Home. And
I'm guessing that's P.T. Barnum in a wig.
Yes. Hello. I am him, and he's on the shoulders of his mate Griffin with a long trench coat.
And they've got a monocle,
Yes.
which would make you a sir.
Good day, sir. He also claimed that this Edvard Holmes, who was actually a really well-known naturalist, and so he claimed that this guy said it was real. So Home got the shits and basically wrote to a whole bunch of publications and said, no, it's bullshit. How dare you? I decry this. And so the mermaid was the beginning of the end for Eads' success. People want the Holmes letter. Suddenly people are going, I don't want to see a fake half monkey, half fish creature that's been dried out under a dome in a coffee house. So the rush of articles denouncing the mermaid also implied the public was gullible, and people didn't like that either. You fucking ding-dongs. So the exhibit popularity fell off, and in the beginning of 1823, the coffee house closed down. So not only did the thing go wrong, it was like, oh, we don't care anymore. Apparently it looked a bit like that.
Okay.
Allegedly. So basically a tortured-looking creature of earlier pictures under a dome. Over the next few years, the mermaid toured around England, but it wasn't super popular because everyone had heard it was a fake. So then it came to light that Eads not only did he sell a ship, yes, he sold the ship, but he didn't only own the ship. He only owned the ship with someone else.
He sold it all.
So it's like I sold my mate and my ship.
Seriously, so many business deals back then are all dodgy. Like they just go, whatever. You know,
Fuck, but have you seen this thing? Of course I sold the ship. You don't understand.
My God. Could you imagine being the business partner?
You do what?
So I sold the ship. Okay.
Why gold?
And I bought. It's the most Magic Beans story that I've ever heard. Oh, and I bought this. Don't worry, it's worth many times more.
Oh,
than
look, the
ship.
coffee house. Okay, it's closed down now, but before it closed down,
Right,
went off. We should open a coffee house. So yeah, the part owner, the other half of the owner, brought legal action against him. The mermaid was declared a ward of the chancellery, a ward of the court.
I like though that the legal action. The best result in your legal action might be that you get half of a mermaid.
I know. Do you cut it? Do you cut it from like head down so you get an arm and a fishtail each?
I don't want that. I want my ship back.
Yeah, I can't sail this. This is no good for cargo. So yes, it was basically made a ward of the court, and apparently this inspired many political cartoons. But Eads kept exhibiting it anyway, and so he was eventually ordered to pay back the owner of the ship. So basically, he went on a sailing trip for 20 years to try and pay off the debt, but never did. So he died. The mermaid was the only thing his son inherited it from him.
Awesome, Dad. Awesome. Thank you.
I'm leaving this to you, son. I don't want it. Don't you have a boat? Half a boat? No.
Look, it's better than nothing.
I don't know if it is. Oh, no, to be fair. So Eads sold it to the guy that eventually leased it to Barnum. And he sold it for way less than $6,000. So he's like, shit. So after Barnum had exhibited it for a month or so, he decided to send it on a tour of the southern states. And he got his uncle, Allenson Taylor, to take care of the tour because he thought it'd be pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Like, Uncle Allenson, could you just take this?
Yeah.
So Taylor took the mermaid to South Carolina, and they very quickly found themselves embroiled in a bit of feud between two newspapers, the Charleston Courier and the Charleston Mercury. And the mermaid was one person said this is horse shit, and the other one said no, it's real.
Oh, that would be so good. And the newspapers are fighting over whether it is or not.
Well, these two guys are. So you got Richard Yaden, who is the editor of the Courier, wrote a review of the mermaid, and he declared that he reckons it's real. At the same time,
was he also looking for Dumber and Dumber experts until he can find someone that says yes?
It sounds like he just said, "I declare this true.
Thank you.
This is a real thing."
Thank you, newspaper guy.
I think it's wonderful. So at the same time, though, a local amateur naturalist, the Reverend John Bachman, published a review of it in the Mercury, a different paper, and he blasted the mermaid and said it was crude humbug created by our Yankee neighbours.
Crude humbug's great, though.
And he threatened to destroy it.
There's not good humbug. This is bad humbug.
This is shitty humbug by Yankees, and I'm going to smash it.
I'm going to destroy it.
Yeah. He's a priest and, all that stuff.
I don't know if you need to go that far.
Well, they're passionate people.
Yeah, I get
so there was a heated exchange of letters and articles defending or challenging the reality, and it became equated with challenging the honour of those two who had the fight. So the debate about honour became far more important than the authenticity of the mermaid.
Please tell me this ends in a duel.
It nearly did. It said so bitter was the fight that if it not for the intervention of mutual friends, it might have ended in a duel.
Oh, that would be so.
So it was a beastie off saying, the mermaid's real, God. The mermaid's fake, you're a shithead, let's shoot each other. I think it's wonderful. So Taylor, Unky Allenson, was also publicly harassed for bringing it to town, for being an idiot or for being a legend. He was just harassed. And the rental lease that Barnum had with the guy who bought it from from the inherited person, it stipulated that Barnum would take the utmost care of the mermaid. So threats to it being smashed, etc., started to freak him out. So he started trying to use the controversy to generate press and keep the tour going. But ultimately he realised basically Unky Allenson wasn't up to this.
Ah, fair enough.
So he brought it back to New York. So that was the early end of the Southern tour, and it was secretly shipped back. So for the next 20 years, basically, the mermaid spent time between Kimball's museum, the guy who leased it in Boston, and Barnum's museum in New York. It did split time.
Okay.
The biggest adventure was in 1859 when Barnum took her on a tour of London. When he came back from London in June, he brought it back to Kimball's museum, and that was the last place people were confident they knew they'd seen it. So the whereabouts basically disappeared. So one theory says the mermaid was destroyed when Barnum's museum burned down in 1865.
That sounds plausible.
But this article I was particularly drawing on said it's unlikely since she should have been at Kimball's Boston Museum at the time. So it's more likely she perished when Kimball's museum burnt down in 1880. Either way, it seems to have been a fiery death. So the Peabody Museum, it's a Harvard Museum of Archaeology and Ethnology, does possess a mermaid that some suggest might be the Feejee Mermaid. And that's a badly printed, horrifying image.
No, that's fair enough.
It's terrible.
That's both horrifying, not seductive, but at least it's a photograph, and I get it's the same sort of thing.
It's a badly printed photograph, but got a cheap printer. So according to the records, this mermaid that they have at the Peabody was saved from fire that consumed Kimball's museum and was later donated to Harvard by Kimball.
God, I can just imagine the workers or the owner, there's a fire going on in the museum, and you've got hundreds of exhibits. What do you save? And it's like,
this one's already pretty shit. No, it was like that to begin with. This is the only thing that wasn't fire damage, and it's the only thing that looked like it was. They're saying that this mermaid, though, doesn't look anything like we would expect of the Feejee mermaid because it's much smaller and far less skillfully crafted. So the suspicion is the real one probably disappeared or got destroyed in 1880. So the closer really is for this. Even though the actual mermaid seems to be gone, the notion of a Feejee mermaid is a generic term for fake mermaids and bullshit. You see it all around the world in little curiosity shops. Apparently it was featured in an episode of The X-Files in season 2.
There you go.
And I can see it's a very X-Files looking creature. And I thought, fuck, okay, I'm curious. So I typed a Feejee mermaid purchase in Etsy.
Oh, yes.
Etsy actually have at least 3 Feejee mermaids for sale. One of them is this weird, descicape, bearded-looking creature.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and there's lots of T-shirts and little fake models of them.
Yeah,
and
sure.
stuff,
But actual ape corpse.
Yeah, like a couple $100 for one that looks horrifying. Like I can imagine if I got the home and said, "Sweetheart, look what I got for the lounge room."
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, they're horrible. They're terrible looking creatures. They're obviously fake. So it's for the people who like the old curiosity shop, with the 3-headed baby in a pickle jar and all that sort of shit. Yeah, so it's still around. And so most of this comes from one particular source called HoaxesSea.org, and they wrote about the Feejee mermaid in some detail. But there's a few other sources if people want to look into it. There's your almost Christmas time story of mermaids. Go on to Etsy. But if you don't know what to get a loved one for Christmas, go onto Etsy now. We're a few days before Christmas. Maybe you get one delivered in a hurry.
Sure.
That's what I got you.
Don't buy me one.
Here, man, unwrap this. I'll just hand it over.
You know how I'm always deeply embarrassed about the unwrapping a present in front of someone, and if it's going to be a bad present, you got to keep the emotion right. Yeah. I think holding that together when they're unwrapping a Feejee mermaid.
The first second where the face just goes, "Fuck me," and then you get the fake smile on.
Oh, there you go, listener. I don't know when this will be released, but you've obviously listened to it because time is a weird thing. The Wholesome Show is me, Will Grant, and him.
Not Will Grant. Rudels Griffin Lamberts.
Brought to you by the Australian National Centre for the Public Awareness of Science. See you later.
Happy birthday, Jesus.